Welcome to Fishy Wild Koipedia. Hi, welcome to this Koipedia episode. Today we will have a little learn, or a flashback, about Shiro Utsuri. Maybe you are a senior koi hobbyist, or just someone curious. But I believe you have seen a lot of koi carp in your life, include this white and black variety. Its name is Shiro Utsuri. Shiro Utsuri, the most prevalent and popular variety of the Utsurumono family, a koi with a black base and areas of white pattern overlaying the black. Yes, most of koi you know are born white, but Shiro Utsuri are born completely black, with the white patterns developing out of the black as the koi ages. So they are in reverse, they are really something different. But if you ever see the young Shiro Utsuri, most of the time you will see them have a little yellowish shade on their skin. It is true, young Shiro Utsuri will usually have a dull, yellowish or grayish Shiro color. Please, do not immediately discount these young Shiro Utsuri as inferior, as it is probable that the white will develop toward a brighter and more pure white as the koi ages. If we talk about colors, the pattern of a Shiro Utsuri koi is often described as a checkerboard with its alternating sections of sumi and shiro, because it should have 50% black and 50% white on its body. So, it should be balanced. Even if they seem as abstract white and black painting, these variety is quite a simple variety compared to, say, a goshiki, but its simplicity is often one of the main attractions. Yes, the sumi and shiro provide a beautiful and dramatic contrast that always stands out and is often visible from quite a distance, just by its black and white. If we look back at the creation history of this variety, the first Shiro Utsuri koi were bred in the late 1920s. But it is unknown exactly how they were bred and what they were bred from. The most common theory involves the Shiro Beko koi variety, which is a white koi with black patterns, as this is the reverse of a Shiro Utsuri koi, which is a black koi with white patterns. There also an information about Shiro Utsuri that these variety is a descendant of Matsukawabake, which have an issue about hypermelanistic syndrome. However, these are just theory, and the truth is, and likely always will be, completely unknown. World War II, which Japan involved, erased so many memories about the true creation of Shiro Utsuri. All we do know is that the Shiro Utsuri was first shown to the koi keeping hobby in 1931 and very quickly became a very popular variety, with a massively high demand for the variety. They say that you start with koheku and end with koheku. While this may be true to some, Shiro Utsuri is the other two-color koi that many koi keepers are starting to place in their top lists. Grand champions traditionally have been selected from the Gosanki class. Koheku, Sanki and Showa, now Shiro Utsuri are strong contenders for this prestigious award. Good Shiro Utsuri are hard to find. They are one of my favorite varieties, because of the changes that happen to them over time. They are more difficult than koheku, in the respect that koheku have all their color generally up at a young age. Shiro Utsuri take many years to develop, and sometimes the changes are drastic. This is why they are a great type to encourage your customers to have in their pond. When selecting a Shiro Utsuri, it is important to keep in mind that it is a black-based koi. This means that the sumi will generally rise up on the koi, in areas you may or may not want it. I generally do not recommend a Shiro Utsuri with a lot of sumi at a young age, because as it grows and matures, the sumi generally will increase, and may become too much and be too dark. For the sumi that is up, look for inky black somewhere in the sumi. The judging of Utsuri depends somewhat on the location and the judges themselves. In Japan, judging can be more subjective, and having been in the koi industry for so long, some judges may have a bit of bias based on bloodline. For example, it's possible that a judge in Japan may ignore some physical characteristics if they recognize a particularly expensive or old bloodline. So a fish may lose in Japan for being less expensive, but could win elsewhere based on other factors. Oftentimes, the exact criteria are adjusted based on the judges. Well, this subjectivity is real, and in an industry, it is normal. However, this is also what makes me not too interested in taking my fish to koi shows, even though I follow the development of koi in shows. However, if you are interested in taking your fish to a koi show, that is actually a good thing. You will definitely learn about many things. Overall, though, there are generally a particular set of guidelines that are followed when appreciating and judging Utsuri koi. Once again to remember, in general terms. First, a koi should be healthy, without any abnormality, such as missing fins, misshapen mouth, or bruises, unless they were accidentally caused during transportation. Utsuri should also not have any parasites, ulcers, or other forms of illness. Second, proportional body shape and pattern, because symmetry is also of great importance. The way that the sumi are arranged from front to back, and side to side, should be balanced and fairly symmetrical, and not strictly symmetrical. Healthy fish and a proportional body are important, because from these two things alone, fish judging accounts for 40% of the total judging proportion. So, never underestimate body shape and body conformation issues. Patterns that are unique are also favored. The fish should also have a proportional, symmetrical head with proportional, symmetrical fins, and a torpedo-shaped body. However, apart from body proportion and fish health, we must pay attention to the pattern and color of this variety. Regardless of the exact variety, Utsuri Mono should have deep, ink black sumi and a vibrant, bright accent color whether red, yellow, or white, with well-established, crisp edges. The sumi should wrap boldly past the lateral line, or the faint line of scales running horizontally along the koi's ribs that separates the top the bottom of the fish. Of course, a shiraotsuri should not be bald on one side and strong on the other. The fish will be unsightly. Placing black at certain points is very important for dynamic fish. Ideally, utsuri will have some form of sumi patterning on the head. Competitions favor those with hachiware sumi on the head, as a lightning bolt-like pattern, or menware sumi, as a distinct V shape. Some utsuri may have hanazumi, or a black dot on their nose, and whether or not this is favored again depends on the judges and specific competition. Additionally, an ideal utsuri will have a checkerboard-like pattern of color, that called ikimatsu, alternating between the black and its accent color. This is not absolutely necessary, as it's quite difficult to achieve, but at the very least colors should be balanced, and each color should compose 40 to 60% of the utsuri. More than 60% or less than 40% sumi or accent color will result in an utsuri that looks unbalanced and boring. While historically utsuri had closer to 60% sumi, more modern breeding is favoring utsurimono with closer to 40% sumi and more accent color. According to the law of color, a good black color will not appear sharp without a strong white background. On shiro utsuri, the shiro white plates should be a snowy, bright white, not off color or yellowy. The sumi should be in well-defined bands. In ki and hai utsuri, which have not been as fine-tuned as shiro utsuri, as the most popular and widely bred of the three varieties, it's generally alright to have a bit of black spotting on the body, though simply having thick bands of black is preferred. As for extremities, it's generally regarded as favorable to have at least some accent color on the tail. Some judges prefer a bit of sumi on the tail as well, while others do not. As mentioned above, shiro utsuri should have pectoral fins with motogoro, or a bit of black at their base where they connect to the body. Ki and hai utsuri should not have motogoro on the pectoral fins, but rather black banding or stripes. The coloration of pectoral fins, regardless of variety, should match. One entirely black fin, and one with bands of accent color, would likely be rated as lower quality by judges. Of course, once again, the issue of balance in this type of shirautsuri is really a necessity. After all, a koi will be viewed from above, and in the case of shirautsuri, plain fins are certainly not pleasing to the eye. Despite being more popular, shiro utsuri tend to be less expensive, while hai utsuri is the most expensive, and ki utsuri is usually somewhere in the middle. Among sub-varieties of utsurimono, kin, jin, rin and cage are the most expensive. As mentioned above, this relates back to the difficulties involved in breeding exact varieties. Among all utsurimono varieties, getting a younger fish is less expensive. as they are not done developing and the true extent of their color and patterning is typically yet to be determined. To get an adult kin jinrin or cage utsuri, expect to pay over $1,000 or pounds. This drops down to a few $100s, on average, if you get a juvenile, though a very young cage utsuri may not appear to be cage until it gets older. Because of their rarity, high utsuri can be even more expensive than kin jinrin, cage, and doitsu utsuri. Regardless of the variety, they will be cheaper as juveniles, and it's possible to find good quality, young utsuri for under $100 or pounds. There is a bit of a gamble here, as colors are not yet fully developed, but this is less of a concern if you're not seeking to show your fish in competitions. No matter what type of utsuri you get, it will make a fantastic and beautiful addition to your pond. Be sure to purchase utsuri, or koi of any type for that matter, only from reputable breeders. Oftentimes, cheaper koi come from large fish farms or shady operations that don't prioritize the health and well-being of the fish. Koi from non-reputable sources could be mistreated or have illnesses or parasites from being stocked with too many other fish, or not being cared for properly. Breeding utsuri koi is very tricky, as is evidenced by these yearling Shiro utsuri all displaying very different characteristics. If you're looking to breed your utsuri for the purpose of obtaining a specific variety or scale type, do keep in mind that this can be tricky, simply due to the nature of genetics and the incredible amount of chance and nuance involved in coloration alone. Make it very difficult to obtain exactly what you're looking for, unless you're a professional with an established line of utsuri. One study conducted on the genetics of red and black color inheritance found that, for ki utsuri koi, there are 3 phenotypes and over a dozen alleles involved in just expressing red coloration alone. These 3 phenotypes determine whether the koi is colorless, completely red, or red patterned. Similarly, there are 3 phenotypes that determine black coloration, colorless, beko pattern with little black, and utsuri pattern with a fair amount of black. In fact, breeding 2 utsuri koi is only 16% likely to yield utsuri offspring. Trying to obtain an utsuri from non-utsuri parents, such as Showa, is even more difficult and rare to achieve. This is partially why Shiro utsuri are more common, as they tend to be easier to breed, and why ki and high utsuri are more rare, and have less well-established patterning and color. Breeding also factors into cost, discussed above. If you are interested and want to keep shirautsuri in your koi pond, then maybe you need to remember the guidelines for keeping shirautsuri. Utsuri koi, much like other koi varieties with vibrant colors, are more obviously sensitive to water quality parameters. We say, obviously, because you will be able to visually tell by looking at your utsuri if your parameters are off. For example, a diet too high in color enhancers, like spirulina, will cause the white portions of a Shiro utsuri to take on more of a yellow tint. It can also cause off-color spotting in the red portions of high utsuri. Water that has a higher KH, or water hardness, and pH often results in utsuri with darker, inkier-looking sumi. Like most koi, utsuri needs are best met when water temperature is 50 degrees to 78 degrees Fahrenheit, or 10 degrees to 25 degrees Celsius, pH is between 7.5 to 8.5, Dissolved oxygen is above 7 parts per million. Salinity is kept very low, between 0.05 to 0.15 parts per trillion, and there are only 75 to 100 ppm of total dissolved solids, such as metals, minerals, salts, and sulfates. If you're considering purchasing an Utsurimono, keep in mind that they are often more expensive fish, due to specialized breeding. The greater water quality needs must also be taken into consideration, as you'll need to have proper filtration and aeration features in place that will range in price depending on the size of your pond. We'll cover prices of Utsurimono more in depth in a moment. Although lacking solid scientific evidence to back this water temperature rise, some argue that water temperature plays a role in the appearance of Utsuri. Apparently, colder waters lend to Utsuri with darker red or yellow coloration, while warmer waters lend to more vibrant hues. Additionally, make sure that your pond has varying depths to allow for your Utsuri, and any other koi, to swim to different depths to help naturally regulate their body temperature as needed. And, to help develop and maintain healthy coloration, Utsuri koi are often fed diets with color enhancers, such as those containing spirulina or krill, as well as those with, for example, more than 30% protein, to aid in proper growth. These are of lesser importance if you don't wish to show your fish at shows. Otherwise, though, the dietary needs of Utsuri are much the same as most other koi. Shirutsuri is a special fish and different from other types of koi. His birth in the form of a black koi shows that he is a special type of koi. It seems that patience in keeping Shirutsuri through the color mutation phase is an important part of being a true koi hobbyist. Because of course, the results must be a surprise, because Shirutsuri is a type of fish whose beauty unfolds according to the timeline. Also, in terms of keeping Shirutsuri, feeding color enchanters is taboo. It is better to focus on the temperature and chemistry of the water, which is more appropriately fit, so that the Shirutsuri grows and mutates optimally. Don't judge Shirutsuri's appearance easily. The wide pattern rules make Shiro Utsuri keepers more appreciative of the balance of patterns, and the impression given by Shirutsuri. In the end, raising Shirutsuri seems very challenging but also full of surprises. I myself am interested in Shirutsuri because of the things we discussed earlier. Shirutsuri are like children who continue to show progress according to their growth. I love Shirutsuri, and maybe you do too.